We have with us John Ratzenberger, who is one of 4 candidates running for 2 open seats for Nags Board of Commissioners. Welcome, John.
Good morning, Jude, and thanks for having me here.
At least one of you might replace an incumbent. What action or actions of the current board prompted you to run, and what would you do differently?
It's really a matter of what the board does. I don't see a long-range vision. I don't see a long-range plan. I don't see the board actively behind things. They go to meetings, they make decisions on stuff, and away they go. I spent a lot of time working for the boards and committees in the town, and I'd like to see a much more proactive approach taken to where the board is providing leadership and demonstrating to the town that they're enthusiastic about the future and where we're going. And I think I can do that. I'd like to.
What are your early impressions of the Beach Nourishment Project, and do you foresee supporting nourishment as a long-term plan?
I worked hard over the past years for beach nourishment. I've been very active in it. I'm pleased with what I see, but we all understand that Irene was not necessarily a good test of how the beach nourishment would protect the infrastructure of the town. It has given us an early look at how the beach will adjust itself out to the profile and how it will go. I'm all for continuing with beach nourishment as a process, as a project, as long as we know that we're not having to redo from scratch like we did when we did this one here. If we have sustainable losses, if we're reimbursed for them, fine. If we get into a catastrophic loss without reimbursement, I think we need to rethink as to whether this is doable for the future. At which point the town really needs to have a good, firm plan so that everybody understands what we're going to do if in fact this is not sustainable. And lastly on it, I would, if we're going to continue this in the future, I'd love to see the tax rates. Again, in other words, more of a town-wide solution rather than separate tax districts that widely vary in what the rate is.
Do you foresee future tax increases in order to maintain or increase revenues?
No, not unless absolutely necessary. And we got to understand that this is not Washington or Raleigh. We're here, down here where the rubber meets the road. Trash has to be picked up, water has to be pumped out, things have to happen, and we produce real goods and services in the area. There's a cost to doing that. If we have to increase taxes or something to do that, then we either need to talk about increasing those taxes or changing or reducing services. And that's a community discussion that we need to have to decide not only what we want, but what we really need versus the resources we got.
How does the current way the county divides tax revenues affect your position on tax increases?
Not much, really. I mean, there's several ways that we can do this. Each one of those ways benefits one town more than another in some regard. We could all get together and talk about changing the formula, and that would be fine if we did. But right now, my real opinion is that I would not support us, Nags Head, raising taxes simply to keep up with the change that another town made. We need to take a look at it and decide if we lose a little bit, are there other ways for us to absorb that loss rather than just automatically raising taxes to keep up with the Joneses.
What new or different concerns facing the town will you bring to the board?
I think when I talked about the town and the board and the activity and the involvement of the board, that's really a lot of it. When you get the board up and being proactive, involved, enthusiastic, leading the way within the town, trying to set the long-range plans and goals, because without that, there's a lot of uncertainty. Where is the town going to go? If you've got uncertainty, you don't get investment, you don't get commitment. We need to do that so that we, the town, can progress, not develop into some monster tourist thing or Ocean City or any of that, but just simply progress along for the residents, the visitors, and everybody else. The other thing probably is I'd like to continue talking about opening things up. I've stood before the town several times and talked about reports on closed session, the timing of planning board minutes that are not published to the public yet, but they're used in quasi-judicial things that the board is doing. We need to get more of this out open and get more info to the community. Those are the things that I really want to do.
We just finished talking to John Ratzenberger, who is one of the 4 candidates running for 2 open seats of Nags Head Board of Commissioners.